Good evening and welcome. This is the Marion City Council meeting for September 22nd, 2016. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Ms. Pazor, Ms. Etzel,
Present.
Mr. Spinks,
Present.
Mayor Abou-Osley,
Here.
Mr.
Here.
Brand,
Here.
Mr. Sternad,
Present.
Mr. Draper.
Here.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have our normal moment of silence. Thank you. Before we begin the normal, the regular meeting, we have an update report from emergency management folks on the flood situation. So, welcome.
Lance Miller, I'm with the Marion Police Department. I attended the meeting out at the Emergency Operations Center this afternoon, having to do with the expected crest of the Cedar River. What I'm showing on the monitors right now is it's a website that anyone can go to, iowafloodcenter.org. You can navigate to this particular map, and what it'll do is it's a prediction tool for the impact on different stages of river flooding. It was created in 2011, so it's as accurate as the data was in 2011, but it gives us a pretty good idea of how this is going to impact the metro area. The reality is, after attending the meeting today, we are not going to be in Marion impacted probably by the floodwaters too much, although because we are a metro area, there will certainly be impact to our citizens that are trying to navigate through Cedar Rapids and so on and so forth. Cedar Rapids is telling us that the water supply will be protected, at least with the predicted crest right now, that the water supply will be protected and that the sewer sanitation will be protected at this point. Their best case scenario, if everything goes wonderfully, would be a 19-foot crest, and that's what is shown here on the map right now. They're predicting a more likely scenario is a 24-foot crest, and I can show you what that looks like. So this is downtown here, is of course the city governments for Cedar Rapids, Lynn County, the jail, all that is there on the island. You're at 19 foot right here. We'll start increasing it to 24 feet. That's what your map's going to look like. It's going to cut the city in half again. The bridges are going to be unusable going across the river. 380 will be the only access to and from. You'll be able to get across at that stage on Highway 30, but the problem is Highway 13 is cut in half. You won't be able to get south of Mount Vernon Road on Highway 13. So it's a long way around, or it's 380 to get back and forth across the city of Cedar Rapids. So you can see that Nubo, all the city government for Cedar Rapids is underwater. The Lynn County Sheriff's Office is going underwater. The jail will be underwater. The courthouse will be underwater again. Right now, Cedar Rapids is planning on staying in place in their building. I don't know the particulars about how they're going to pull that off, but that's the plan. So they're going to continue to dispatch out of their building, but they're going to set up an east side and a west side division for their public safety and split their resources on either side of the river. They're going to set up a makeshift police station over off of Blair's Ferry Road at one of the churches over there. I'm not sure where their location is on the west side. Depending on the severity and the length of time, we may be called upon to provide some mutual aid services to the northeast side of Cedar Rapids in terms of law enforcement response. Lynn County is in the process right now of moving their patrol division and their dispatch to our facility. The building was built so that it can accept that and handle that. Our radio infrastructure and all that is capable of just moving them over and setting them up in dispatch. So we're in the process of making that transition right now. It's unclear at what point they're going to make that move, but they will make that move. So it'll be in the next probably late Friday, maybe early Saturday. The prediction is the river's really going to pick up coming Saturday. So crest is supposed to fall Monday into Tuesday, and that's if they don't get a bunch more rain. But it's currently raining north of us. So if that continues up there, all bets are off in terms of the flood stage. At 24 feet, it could go higher, but you don't know. So they'll update the flood levels as the information comes in. But, as far as ambulance service goes, medical services area ambulance is going to split their staff, east side and west side. Obviously, we're on the east side of the river. We've got the hospitals on our side. The prediction is that the hospitals will be minimally impacted in terms of the services that they could provide. But getting to them, if you're on the west side of the river, could be a problem for us. Obviously, we're on the correct side of the river for that. So area ambulance has a contingency plan to staff it and provide services as far as that goes. Cedar Rapids on Sunday will be going to 12-hour shifts. Their police department will be. So their normal patrol stuff will all be affected, and they're enacting their emergency procedures for that. This time, Lynn County is staying on their normal scheduled shift rotations. If that changes, they may ask us for assistance like we did before out in Palo. I'll scroll up to the Palo area at 24 feet. You can see what Palo looks like. At 24 feet, you can see Edgewood Road is under water again there. So the bridge, you can get to essentially where the well is there, and that's about it, but only if you come from the north. This is, Palo is right. Here's Palo. So you can see Palo is 965. It backs up underneath 965 here. To give you an idea, up here at the top is where Palo Outdoors is. This is Blair's Ferry Road area. So Blair's Ferry Road becomes impassable going out there. At this point, their mapping does not go north of Blair's Ferry Road. That's why you see such an abrupt stop there. It's obviously flooding north of there, which is where the power plant is. The power plant has its own emergency plan, and they're enacting that. They're already taking care of that. They don't anticipate any kind of reduction in services, and they were pretty clear that just like in 2008, they plan on providing services, and that's, I guess, one of the godsends is that plant can run this community and the metro area. So they don't see any problems with being able to continue to provide those services. It's just getting their personnel there. And I know in 2008 when I worked on it, we ferried some of those people in to the plant because it becomes kind of an island out there. So that is the best estimate as it stands right now. The Emergency Operations Center will open at some point in time. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow or this weekend, and then we will staff it with one of the members of our department. Any questions?
Thank you, Lieutenant. It certainly is hard to believe that we're going through this again. Do you know, is the county offices, are they, it looked like they were in the area that's going to be underwater.
Yeah, they're going to all be underwater. They're going to lose their...
They're going to be closing their offices.
They're back to where they were in 2008.
Did they talk about whether or not this will affect the Iowa River at all?
The Iowa River did not take the brunt of the water up north, and what they said was that if there's a shining star here is that Iowa City should remain unaffected, and so we'll have resources that we can pull from Iowa City because the Army Corps of Engineers says that the reservoir can absorb the rainfall from that fell in the Iowa watershed. They also do not predict the Wapsie to get too out of control. The Wapsie and the Cedar run pretty much parallel to each other, with the Wapsie being farther east. The majority of the rainfall, as they described, fell in the Cedar River watershed, which is why it's in the worst shape. But the Wapsi's going to flood, but they call it a moderate flood is how they labeled it. And so the sheriff's office is not predicting that they're going to have to send resources to Troy Mills, Central City, things like that. It's going to flood the campgrounds and stuff like that, but they don't predict that they're going to have a big law enforcement presence in those communities, which is why they're better off and perhaps won't need our assistance like they did in '08. So '08, everything flooded, and they didn't have enough bodies to go around, and that's why we spent an inordinate amount of time out in Palo. We pretty much took over that community, but doesn't look like that's going to be the case this year. It looks like it's pretty well confined to the Cedar.
Well, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Lieutenant?
Well, sad.
Questions? Okay.
Okay,
Thank you for the update.
you bet.
At this time, we'll proceed with the rest of the meeting. Just to kind of some housekeeping things. Just a reminder, if anyone who's here to speak on any issue on the agenda, please remember that you must come to the microphone, state your name and your address before you speak, rather than just speaking from the audience. And for just a reminder to the council, also just kind of to keep the meeting moving efficiently, to please direct all comments through the chair, whoever the chair is, whether it's the mayor or the mayor pro tem. Direct comments to the chair be recognized before you comment, just so we have orderly discussion, and to avoid just independent conversations happening. Also, just if we can avoid getting off topic, so that we can stay on the topic that's on the table, that would be very helpful. So, okay. At this time, we have citizen presentations. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of anything to the council? Okay. Seeing none, we'll proceed with the consent calendar. Mr. Draper.
Yes, Your Honor. I would move approval of the consent agenda, excluding items 12 and 13, which would be then items 1 through 22 other than 12 and 13, Resolution 25579, to and including Resolution 25588. Move approval.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda with items 1 through 11 and 14 through 22 as presented on the agenda, with items 12 and 13 being removed from the agenda by staff request. Any discussion on these? No discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion to approve the consent calendar, items 1 through 11 and 14 through 22, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Okay, the motion is approved.
Your Honor, if I might, I would like to make note, according to Robert's Rules of Order, being allowed to say that I did abstain from item number 3A.
Okay, please have the minutes note that Councilman Draper has abstained from item 3A. Okay. Councilwoman Edsel?
Oh, okay. Motion to approve the consent calendar with Mayor Abu-Asli abstention from voting and discussing regarding the following items as presented. Resolution number 25589.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 25589. Any discussion on this? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. and I abstain from this. Okay.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 16-11, amending Chapter 105 of the Solid Waste Ordinance and establishing base monthly collection fees at $14.25 and eliminating reduced monthly fees. This is our second consideration.
Second?
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 16-11, amending Chapter 105 of the Solid Waste Ordinance, establishing the base monthly fees at $14.25 and eliminating reduced monthly fees. Any discussion?
I had a question for
Sure.
Brian. Have the ones that are getting that are going to get the higher rate, have you made attempt to contact them and tell them?
You mean the exemption? Yeah. Upon approval of the council of this ordinance, Amber's going to send out some notifications via the water bill. And that way all the individuals currently receiving the reduced rate will be notified of the increase. The increase won't go into effect until January of 2017. Therefore, that should give us ample amount of time for them to get notified and know that the rate increase will be coming.
Okay, good, because we hadn't really mentioned how this was going to be sent out or anything.
Yep, that's what we're planning on doing.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And just to reiterate, for people who aren't aware, that the reduced rate schedule was eliminated as a legal matter. We were advised that it may not be legal to have the reduced fees, so we've eliminated them until there's a change in how things are. All those in favor, or is there any other discussion on this motion? All those in favor of approving ordinance number 16-11, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no.
No.
Okay, so we have one no. The motion passes. At this time, we have a public hearing regarding the request to amend the future land use map of the Marion Comprehensive Plan for property located west of Alburnett Road and north of Heather Court from single-family attached residential to single-family detached residential and single-family attached residential to multi-family residential, and to rezone the property from Linn County A to R2 medium density single-family, PDR, Planned Development Residential, and A1, Rural Restricted. So at this time, we'll open the public hearing. Do you have we have a presentation first? Or is that?
If you'd like me to, I can provide one if the council's comfortable with that, or if there's
Sure.
If there's questions, I can just answer those too. It might be better if I provide a briefing. I think there might be some folks in the audience here this evening regarding this request. So the property that we're talking about is located west of Alburnett Road. This is the roundabout at Alburnett and Tower Terrace. The property is highlighted in red, north of East Robbins, part of the recent annexation, just north of Ivy Air Acres. The property is currently owned by the Lewis Downing family, and a portion of it is under contract for purchase by Scenic Development, and I believe Mooney Investments is also involved in the potential portion of this for residential. As indicated, the proposal is to amend the future land use map of the city. Future land use map identifies a commercial node at the corner with some multifamily down here on the south side, higher density multifamily. The proposal is going to move that into allowing for some single family in this vicinity. The proposed project is pretty much is consistent with the multifamily. It is senior housing for senior housing facility, so there'll be people staying there and living there, and then some assistance as well throughout there. So the comprehensive plan amendment is just that, is to change the designation to support the proposed project. As indicated, there are 3 rezonings to occur on the property. The PDR, which will support the scenic development, and we have a very detailed site plan. I know the council's been made aware of that. Upon rezoning, there will be a preliminary and final site development plan that will be brought back to the council for review and approval. When we do a PDR in an instance like this, we like to have a very specific plan when we bring it forward. We've got all the details, and the owners or the developers have actually reached out to the neighborhood. There's been neighborhood meetings and conversations, and I think they've responded to a lot of the concerns the neighborhood has. The R2 is a single-family development. It will extend Kettering Drive into the property. Ultimately, there'll be a road that extends to what will be Tower Terrace Road, and there'll be a little bit of this Hampshire Drive will extend a little bit north into the R2. So there is a drainage way that splits the property in this vicinity, so the water will flow to the back and they won't try and cross that drainage way. The rezoning and land use amendments were taken to the Planning Commission, and they've, after a public hearing there, they were both approved and supported, and the recommendation is to proceed with the rezoning and comp plan amendment. I'm going to just put up here for purposes of site plan. I don't know if anybody wants to speak to it, but the project, and I think this is probably what everybody's probably going to want to talk to if they're going to talk, is Scenic Developments project. So you got the facility here in the middle, living quarters, and an area in the back. It'd be accessed off Alburnett Road, one way in with parking to either side. This is kind of the southernmost part of Riviera Acres is kind of the high point, and it falls south or falls to the north, and they'll be doing a lot of cut into the south side of the property to provide for this. So these homes here will probably see more of the top of the development opposed to a lot of direct lighting into those. So there is a heavily landscaped buffer on both the south and the west side, and then there's essentially the front side too. So there's quite a bit of landscaping being proposed as part of this project, and I think a lot of that came from the neighborhood after neighborhood meetings. So I'm not going to go on. I know the developer would like to provide some comment as well, and
Okay.
If there's questions
Thank
from
you.
a city perspective, please let me know.
Okay, well, we'll proceed with the public hearing at this time. Is there anyone who is here to speak in favor of this project? Sir?
How we doing? Never works when we...
There we go. For the record, I'm Jordan Anderson. My address is 2114 West Sheridan Street, Olathe, Kansas. I'm the owner's representative and project manager for Scenic Development, which is a 41-year-old family-owned business. I represent the third generation of that family-owned business. For the sake of brevity, I'm not going to go through a ton of stuff, but I would like to speak about a few things that have changed or happened since I last spoke in front of the City Council. Here's a couple photos. This is actually a photo of a project we opened in Gladstone, Missouri. I'm just going to try to get to the end of this. It's pretty quick. As you can see, there's some photos. We try to make it look as residential as possible. I will be overseeing construction if we do get passed and end up constructing. And our main goal for every decision we make is to make the project look as residential as it possibly can. That makes it feel like home for our residents. This is the site plan done by our architect as to what it should look like once everything is fully grown out. It is slightly different than what we actually have here, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But this is our entire site plan. As you can see, there's a few things, like I said, the new things that happened between last council meeting and this one that I've spoken. We had a neighborhood meeting, happened in August. Our managing partner, Gib Wood, came up and gave a presentation to the neighbors and had a pretty lengthy back and forth. One of the things that came out of that neighborhood meeting is that the neighbors would like to see coniferous trees on the southern border of this property instead of deciduous, because they'll have a full 12-month shielding period instead of having leaves fall off and essentially becoming a wooden window. So that is something that we've changed at the request of the neighbors. Also, they were concerned about our parking lot lighting. Our parking lot lighting generally is not dark sky compliant, but at their request, we will be upgrading our lights to a dark sky compliant situation on the entirety of the site. And that's not only good for the neighbors, but it's also good for our residents. I mean, we don't want them looking out a window and seeing a whole bunch of really bright parking lot lighting. For those of you that don't know what a dark sky compliant light is, the light is actually recessed much farther into the fixture of the light, so it shines more down towards the parking lot, reducing our impact on the neighbors from a lighting standpoint. I'd also like to answer a couple questions that Councilman Spinks and actually Sternad was just basically to tell me to have a neighborhood meeting in the last meeting, so we've already answered that question. But I blew up this parking lot as it is related to the southern border. Those trees there are actually existing trees. And I know your concern was what lighting is going to look like and the fact that we're a 24-hour facility. Our shift changes are at 10 in the morning, or 6 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 10 at night. So obviously no one wants to get woken up at 10 o'clock or 6 o'clock, but it isn't as if we're going to be having cars coming in and out a whole lot at 2 in the morning. So that will help alleviate some of that. As well, you can see that these contours are all 1-foot contours. From the westernmost portion of our parking lot up to the nearest neighbor's yard is approximately 10 feet. And then on top of that, there will be another 6-foot privacy fence that's going to be completely opaque. It's a PVC privacy fence that's made to look like wood. And then obviously the existing trees as well as the trees that we'll be putting in. The average height of a headlight that isn't on a high beam is between 4 and 6 feet. So we should not have any issues with lighting. The only trucks that we'll have coming in and out of here are going to be box trucks. Martin Brothers supplies all of our food, and they only come twice a week. We get very large food deliveries when we do get them, and they're really good about coming in when we ask them to. Again, another situation where we don't want our residents, being woken up because our delivery truck is coming in at 4 in the morning or something like that. So, just to answer a few questions that you had previous, I thought I would show that to you. Yeah, that's all I have for today. If you guys have any questions, I'll be around, and obviously, if there's anybody else that has questions for me, I'm willing to answer them. Thank you.
Question?
Yeah. I was just recently in Des Moines, and they showed me some lighting that they had downtown. It was called moonlight lighting.
Okay.
It's a very tall pole, so it just gives off the effect of lighting. It sounds like you have it under control anyway, but I don't know. That sounded kind of nice to me, that it would still have that moonlight.
That's not something I've ever seen, but
okay.
It's definitely something I can research once I get back to my office. It seems like they come out with a different kind of parking lot lighting every other year, but yeah, that's something I'll have to look into.
Yeah.
On the east side, that'd be the east side. Yes, the east side where the single-family homes are going to be built. Are you doing carnivorous trees along there also?
Yes, and actually, when we were working with Mr. Mooney on what we wanted for a buffer there, we chose to go with a more greenery and no fence. So that is there's a lot more shrubs and trees on that side, but there is not a fence, and that is done to. There's a standard the city has. If you don't have a fence, that your buffering has to be this. That's essentially what this is. So, but we can do coniferous trees there. That's not an issue with us. What we have is good with the developer on that side. Currently, there aren't any homeowners, but we're willing to work with them or with Tim in the event that he wants something different.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.
I was just going to thank you for answering my questions there.
No
I'm just
problem.
going to thank you for answering.
Thank you.
Anyone else to speak in favor of this request to amend the future land use map? None? Is there anyone to speak against it? Okay, seeing that there's none, we will close the public hearing.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve resolution number 25590, amending the future land use map of the Marion Comprehensive Plan for property located west of Albernet Road and north of Heather Court from single-family attached residential to single-family detached residential and single-family attached residential to multi-family residential, Scenic Development, LLC.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 25590, amending the future land use map of the Marion Comprehensive Plan for the property located west of Albernet Road and north of Heather Court from single-family attached residential to single-family detached residential and single-family attached residential to multi-family residential. Discussion on the motion to approve this resolution.
I had one question, Your Honor, and that was, I was wondering, Tom, on your site plan, is there a back road? It looked like a road going to the R2 area.
No, there's only, its ingress and egress is from, is from Albernet, so. These are, there's a lot of utility easements there, so that's probably what you're seeing.
Oh, that's the utility area?
Yeah, okay. There's, most of the water that comes to the site flows west, so there's a lot of, as well as the sanitary sewer will follow that same line as well.
So fire's only way to get in there would be off of Tower Terrace?
Albernet.
Albernet, I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you'll notice it's a wider drive.
Right.
To accommodate that.
Okay.
Is there a retention basin back in there somewhere? Or?
Yes, I believe the detention is in this area here. You can see kind of the outline there.
Does that help you as well, Tim, that retention basin? Sorry. I did it, didn't I? Let the record show that Tim said. I want to thank both of you, Gordon and Tom, for working with the neighborhood on this. I appreciate it. That's the way you get things done. And welcome to Marion, I hope.
Okay, other discussion? None? Okay, all those in favor of approving resolution number 25590, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. And please note that I've abstained from this.
Now I'll say it. Welcome to Marion.
Welcome to Marion.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve ordinance number 16-13, amending the Marion Code of Ordinances regarding a request to rezone property located west of Albernet Road and north of Heather Court from Lynn County A to R-2, medium residency, single-family, PDR, planned development, residential, and A1, rural restricted. Initial consideration.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 16-13, amending the Marion Code of Ordinances regarding the request to rezone the property located west of Albernet Road, north of Heather Court, from Lynn County A to R2, medium density, single family, PDR, planned development residential, and A1, rural restricted. This is the initial consideration. Any discussion? None?
Tom, we need a development with D2 so we could have an R2, D2 development area.
Yeah. So this is actually rezoning that very same property? Yes.
Correct. So this is the initial consideration, zoning the property that we just discussed.
Okay. No discussion? All those in favor of ordinance number 16-13, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion passes. Please note that I've abstained from this also.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
If I could just make a note on the agenda. The next item is a rezoning ordinance, but number 5 is the waiver that we got to receive and file. So we usually put those ahead, but I just wanted to make sure that you saw that there was a request to waive the third reading on that. So.
Got it. Mr. Draper?
Yes, Your Honor, I have ordinance number 1612, amending the Marion Code of Ordinances regarding a request to rezone property located at 1100 Meadowview Drive, Marion, from C1 Neighborhood Commercial to C3 General Commercial, second consideration.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 16-12, amending the Marion Code of Ordinances regarding request to rezone to property located at 1100 Meadowview Drive, Marion, from C1 Neighborhood Commercial to C3 General Commercial. Second consideration. Any discussion? None? Okay, all those in favor of ordinance number 16-12, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
Okay. This is a motion to receive and file request to waive the third reading of ordinance number 16-12 and place ordinance number 16-12 on the agenda for adoption and adopt. Meyer Gast.
Second.
Okay, so we have the motion by Councilwoman Etzel and the second by Mayor Pro Tem to approve, to receive and file a request to waive the third reading on ordinance number 16-12 and place the ordinance on the agenda for adoption. Any discussion on this?
Tom, any complaints or any movement on this at all? Or?
No, I don't. We've not had any concerns with the proposed request.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
Your Honor, the only question I have then, we're going to receive and file. We will then move for the third consideration, suspending the rules after that vote.
Separately? Okay, I know it's worded so it's together, but I think we probably should do it separately.
Right, that's what I would think.
Okay, so all is in favor of the motion to receive and file the request signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Okay, so that's
Now,
approved.
Your Honor, I would move we suspend the rules and go to the third reading on ordinance number 1612.
Second.
Final consideration.
Okay, so we have the motion and second to suspend the rules and place the motion on the agenda for final adoption. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve Resolution 25591, approving Edgebrook Estates North First Edition Final Plat and Memorandum of Agreement for property located south of 35th Avenue and east of Indian Creek Road, a Midwest development request.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 25591, approving Edgebrook Estates North First Edition Final Plat and Memorandum of Agreement. Any discussion on this?
Just think you need more words in that for the description. That wasn't long enough.
No discussion? All those in favor of the resolution number 25591 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. And please note that I'm abstaining on this one.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve resolution number 25592, approving Gemstone Third Edition Final Plat and Memorandum of Agreement for property located west of Core Road and north of Tower Terrace Road, Morriswood.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 25592, approving Gemstone Third Edition Final Plat and Memorandum of Agreement. Any discussion?
Let's see. This is out by the original roundabout, right? That's west of that, and so is this going to be set up as commercial? Is that what they're looking at doing, or?
No, it'll be duplex and threeplex units, condominiums. So there'll be the similar units that are just north and west of the roundabout at Tower Terrace and 35th Street.
Yeah, see, I thought this area was designated to be commercial.
That would be the southeast corner.
Southeast, okay.
Yep. And actually, the directly south side of the roundabout is also commercial.
Yeah. You touched it.
Yeah, I think, Tom, that after these group of condos or whatever we have there, it does go to single-family dwellings down towards and including Indian Creek. Is that?
That's correct. Yep. There was.
What I was thinking of was that Villages of Indian Creek, that original plan for that. I thought this area was commercial.
No, it was it was the southeast.
Yeah.
Yep, the other leg of it. So the daycare and extending where the daycare is out there just north of 35th Ave.
North of that.
Yep, so just extending that up to Tower Terrace would be the neighborhood at Indian Creek, and that's where we're proposing very similar development as Uptown, where the buildings are up close in a town square, and so yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking for here, but okay.
Yep.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 25592, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Okay, the motion passes. Please note that I'm abstaining on this one.
Your Honor, I make motion for resolution number 25593, approving Marion Church's 4th edition final plat and memorandum of agreement for property located 2523 Highway 13. This will be Marion Senior Living Community.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 25593, approving Marion Church's 4th edition final plat and memorandum of agreement. Any discussion? None. All those in favor of this resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
Your Honor, I have resolution 25594, approving temporary public access easement over property owned by Genesis Equity, LLC, at 3405 7th Avenue.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 25594, approving temporary public access easement over the property owned by Genesis Equity at 3405 7th Avenue. Discussion? Yes, sir.
If I could just to let the council know that we didn't discuss this on Tuesday, but I did put on the agenda. The work was going quickly with the roundabout on the east end, Marion Iron. You can see that it's not. I don't know what the rain's going to do to it, but there is a potential that we'll be opening that to traffic. So that property is not currently under the ownership of the city. We're still working through the details of the development agreement and the land transfers and the things that go along with it. So this is just a public access easement so we can actually have traffic on there.
So it's for the benefit of the city.
Absolutely, yes. Yep.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I guess I'm confused on the address. 3405 7th Ave? Isn't it on the west side of 31st?
I wondered about that.
Yeah, it should be 3105, shouldn't it?
Well, I think it'd be 29.
Or 2905.
Don, do you have that agreement? Did I give that back to you? What's the address there? Does it say? That does seem odd.
Yeah.
If it's not correct, if it's not correct, we can correct that before the resolution gets signed.
Tom, is this GLD that you're doing this?
Genesis.
Oh.
Who?
Genesis.
Genesis.
So it'd be the former Marion Iron site where the roundabout currently sits.
I keep saying east of everything.
I did find it. It was in little print further down. This says 2605 7th Avenue.
2605 7th Avenue.
That makes more sense.
It does. Thank you for catching that.
Okay. So we're talking about 2605 7th Avenue. Any discussion on this? All those in favor of resolution number 25594 signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Thank you. The motion passes.
Number 10.
And number 10, we've been asked to remove from the agenda by the staff. So on to number 11.
Your Honor, this is a motion directing staff to create an interim development ordinance along the city central corridor.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to direct the staff to create an interim development ordinance along the city's central corridor. Any discussion on this? None?
I guess
Yes,
one thing, we were doing something like this on Tower Terrace. Will it be similar to that, or will it look like that type of?
Zoning? No. So this will be just a process to develop a better handle on land use and zoning in the corridor. In the meantime, projects will develop an ordinance that'll direct projects through a process, so there at least some review. After the last couple projects that have been more of a surprise, I think, to the council, we wanted to make sure that you're seeing things and get a chance to review those. So.
Yeah. This is just until we have a permanent design standard ordinance.
Yep, in place. Yep.
Thanks.
Okay. And we'll have to bring the actual ordinance back to the council for approval. This is just making sure that we.
This is directing them to create the ordinance.
Yep.
So we'll have time. We'll be able to see it, talk about it.
Yep.
Okay.
So no pole barn
That's what we're
in this area,
trying
right?
to ensure it doesn't happen.
What's your time frame on having it done?
Well, that's a good question. We'd like to have at least 6 months just to get everything completed and be able to roll it out.
No, but when do you? I think his question is, when do you expect to have this interim ordinance?
Yes.
Oh, I'd like to bring it back to the next meeting.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. The ordinance itself probably
Right.
will not be much. It'll be what gets developed during the interim time will be what will roll out and be more substantive.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Further discussion on this? All those in favor of the motion directing staff to create an interim development ordinance for the city's central corridor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion passes.
This should be a yay. We can finally get this done.
Exactly.
Your Honor, I make a motion to receive and file request by Alicia Bacher, 1412 Fifth Avenue, regarding city acquisition of her property.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to receive and file a request by Alicia Bacher of 1412 Fifth Avenue regarding city acquisition of her property. Discussion?
How close is the road going to be to that house?
So this came in, I believe, on Tuesday. You guys got it set on your desk. We've been working to acquire the property within the corridor, and of course that brings up a lot of questions about why we're buying one property and not buying another property. This is the block east of 14th along the north side of 5th to 15th. So we bought the corner house. If you drive down 5th Avenue now, there's a corner house that we did purchase. If you've ever driven up 15th, because I'm sure everyone has, it's very narrow. So we had to widen the right-of-way there. So we purchased the home on the corner. We've owned that for quite some time. The home next to that is currently for sale. The owner, Ms. Dawson, also had phone conversations about the city's desire to purchase that property. This is the corner property, so the corner of 14th and 5th Ave on the northeast side. So they would like the city to acquire them as well. And one of the conversations that's going on is that when we do the improvement, We'll obviously be taking the vet clinic, and there'll be road right away there. It'll leave 3 homes on that block. So their concerns are they're moving and they're trying to sell their homes, and they'd like the city to purchase their properties because of the difficulties that they think they're going to have in selling their property. The indication that I've had is that I would present it to council as soon as we have an opportunity to kind of get a better handle on pricing and everything like that. But in my mind, it would not be a taking. It wouldn't be a threat of condemnation if there was a desire by the council to proceed. We'd have to figure out the dollars and cents surrounding it and determine if that's how you wanted to proceed. But it wouldn't be one of those situations where we would be doing it under the threat of eminent domain and have the requirements to pay for relocation and assistance and things like that. If they wanted us to entertain a purchase offer, we would probably just work off what their asking price is and then determine and negotiate from there. So they would be a straight purchase and acquisition, not one under the threat of eminent domain. So
How close is the road going to be to the house?
to this one,
Yeah.
this one's going to be, there'll be a house between.
So this is the one next to the one that's actually for sale.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So there'll be the house in the corner, the next house, and then that house is probably, it's a very narrow lot.
Yes.
So their lot line will be the right of way, but I believe the road's going to be about 20 feet. The back of sidewalk's like 20 feet. So if you like, I can obviously do a better job of providing information for you at the next meeting and see what I do know that they're both interested in this, and if I can bring back I can bring back their assessments. We had some appraisers look at it too, so we've got a good idea of the dollars and cents. So I'm assuming we'll be around $200,000 to purchase both homes.
What interest would the city have in buying these?
That's the question. I guess the interest would be whether there's a development opportunity in the future, or if there's just a desire to purchase them to help the property owners because they feel like their property is going to be difficult to sell. I mean, that's why I've told them it's very difficult for me just to tell you that this is a good idea when it's not a necessity for the project, and that's been the indication that I've given them. So I told them that I would bring the request and that we can go from there. If there's a further desire for me to do if you'd like to see more on it, I'd be happy to bring it back for as a discussion item at the next meeting, at least have that conversation, provide direction, that'd be fine.
Okay, so at this point, we're just receiving and filing this request.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Is there a way when you do that too to show us going south on 15th also? I mean, are there going to be, obviously 15th is getting widened quite a ways down, correct?
Yeah, the whole block there's a lot of stuff going on in that block. So.
Just one block is getting widened? So like from 5th south on South 15th?
Oh no, we're not touching that at this point, no.
What about in the future? Are there going to be acquisitions to widen that past 5th Avenue going
not
south?
south of 5th at this
Not
point.
south of 5th.
No.
One up to 6.
This be something more interesting for the school district than the city?
Well, it potentially could. My indication to both property owners has been, it would not surprise me if you weren't approached by the development community for acquisition of the property, just by virtue of the remnant grounds that'll be left. Now, there are some other issues within this area. If you, and I don't have the stuff to really present tonight, but at 15th, the roundabout comes up to 6th Avenue, and there's curvature, basically goes right through the vet clinic. Well, the way that lies, 14th Street will not connect to 6th. We will close that connection. So there'll be 60 feet of right-of-way, and then 3 homes on that block. So the question is also, do we vacate the right-of-way? So there's a lot of things going on in that block that I think affects some of the conversation we would want to present to the council on it.
And just for a clarification, Will, I think the block between 5th and 6th is the only one where we've got the narrow right-of-way situation. I think from 5th Avenue South, we've got the normal 60 or 66 feet of right-of-way, but this is an area where I think we've only got maybe 27, 28 feet of right-of-way. The city property ends pretty much just behind the curb, but I think it's just in this one block, but we'll check on that for sure.
Yeah. I'm kind of getting off subject. So what's the plan, or is there a plan for, so with the vet clinic and then the lot next door, the vacant lot that we're purchasing?
Correct.
What's the plan with that? Is that going to be something that the city's going to sell off to development?
Well, the plan would be to take since we acquire the whole lots, we will do a plat and split off the right-of-way that we need, and then the remnant pieces will remain there. And then we would, just like we're doing it elsewhere, is we'd try to provide those an incentive for redevelopment. So if someone came in with a project, we would have land that we would provide as a part of a redevelopment package. So if someone came to us and said, I'm going to buy these 3 homes, tear them down, there's dollars and cents in the city's ground. They probably want to vacate the right-of-way, and they may bring a project forward to develop that site. So that's how we would see those projects moving forward.
So would it be in the city? Could it be possibly in the city's best interest, or I shouldn't say best interest, to purchase those properties, and then it could be used as a incentive for development there?
It could, and then that comes back to whether the council wants to direct us to move in that direction. But that's the kind of conversation I think we need to have, and especially since I know 2 of the 3 remaining they'd be happy to sell, and they're not asking for the conversations I've had. They've asked for an acquisition so they can move. That wouldn't be where they're requesting a full buyout that we've been talking about elsewhere. So, and I mean, the ones listed, we could go buy it tomorrow and work through the realtor to do that. Right. The other one that Alicia, I'm talking to a realtor that she's talking to. So if we tell her no, she's going to list it.
Have you had any interest in development there?
No, it is an area that we've shown developers that are looking at property in the corridor to say this is going to be a new intersection. These parcels, we know there's some willing buyers down here. This road's going to be vacated. So it does provide an opportunity for a piece of property that's developable. Another conversation, we just haven't had the conversation, is maybe the school would want it. I think it's a pretty valuable piece of property for the school to want to put a parking lot on, but ideally we'd like to see the school's parking lot developed, and maybe the parking, because that's going to have a higher value now that there's improvements in the area.
Okay.
So yeah, the requests are coming in, and there's a lot of I think there's a lot of directions we can go with this, and I think if we can just maybe get a little time to present some stuff to the council for a decision, that'd be great. Does that make sense? I can bring it back in the next meeting for a conversation.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Further discussion on this? All those in favor of the motion to receive and file the request, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, discussion time.
Well, be the first to mention the swamp fox this weekend. Everyone come out and chase the fox around the square, and then there's stuff on the square till noon, and then it goes all out to Lau Park. And
the market goes till 1.
Till 1,
yep.
Okay, that's the difference. And then a couple other things. We had a chance to get a little bit of culture this week, and we went to, I want to give a plug for the Giving Tree Theater. We went to see Streetcar Named Desire, and Heather Akers, she is just outstanding in that part. I mean, it was just amazing, the theater that we have here in Marion. The only thing I have to tell them, though, is this took place in New Orleans, and they definitely need a Southern language coach. So I volunteer my time to coach them in speaking Southern.
Maybe you should just be
she
in the
got a
play.
drink out of the ice box and said, "Do you want a soda?" And you would never hear that in New Orleans. So, and then the other thing is today, I know they were here in the forum, is the Red Cedar, and it's just the two, the husband and wife, the celloist and the violin player now, and they are just unbelievable. I mean, their fingers are just a blur playing. So, if you ever have a chance to hear them, go make a point to listen to them. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll plug the Swamp Fox some more. So Saturday, there'll be a race right out front here. No, on this side. Starting at 7:30, 5K. Then there's a 1 mile kids fun run. There's also pancake breakfast over at the Heritage Center. The market will be going on from 8:30 to 1 in the square. Parade starts at 9:30. Starts at the high school, loops up down 7th Avenue. Then at 5 o'clock, everything starts back up out at Lau Park. There'll be food vendors. Elizabeth Von Presley will be performing, and there will be fireworks at dark. The fireworks display will be fantastic. Knock on wood, no rain.
No rain.
And hopefully everybody can come out to the Swamp Fox. We will all up here, that's here right now, will be in the parade, right up at the front.
I'm sure
So
everybody's going to go to see
yes,
that, aren't they?
we'll have candy. Yeah, that's why everybody's coming to see us in the parade. And then I don't know if anybody else was going to say anything, but I talked to Mary Lou a couple days ago, and she's doing good. For anybody that didn't know, she had surgery on her back, and she's doing well. So hopefully she'll be back at the next meeting.
Next meeting. Yeah.
That's all. Oh, I don't know if it was going to be mentioned, but there will not be anybody at the library this Saturday because of the Swamp Foxes will be all in the parade. So.
Oh.
You would find it hard to believe if I didn't have anything. One of the chores I have this week, tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock, I'm meeting with Camden Farms folks who I live across the street from on Lucor Road. And I'm sure that that's a subject of my being asked to come to that meeting. So this week, I took it upon myself to follow a few commercial vehicles. And I had one private hauler taking a shortcut to the dump, three dump trucks who were on that, and I would hope that we might watch that a little bit, or if we can figure out how to embargo that or post it that it's not for through traffic, because that road is in terrible shape. It's scheduled for next year, and in the interim period, those of us who live on it are going to have to put up with it. I know that Public Service has put some big-sized patches in out there trying to make it more passable, but it needs a lot of work. But we need to keep the commercial vehicles that aren't going to Hunter's Ridge off of it, so it doesn't any further deteriorate. And so anyway, I'll find out tomorrow. We will have a ward meeting out there, Mayor, on the 12th at Hunter's Ridge, and I'm sure we'll hear about, we're doing a lot of work on the other side, and it's put a lot more traffic on Lucor during the course of that, because it's the only way to get home for a while for a lot of folks. So we'll hear about those things at that meeting, and hopefully that'll be well attended. We've had staff and everyone involved in those ward meetings, and they're a wonderful idea, and hopefully we'll have more people starting to come to those in the future, because it is an opportunity, like the library is on Saturday, to come and vent your frustrations, or occasionally somebody will say, "Good job, Council," so that's kind of nice when that happens. So that's all I have. I was embarrassed, I can tell our library. I see him hiding over there. I, like the rest of us up here, had advised a lot of people to come on the 20th, and we were going to hear about the plans which weren't able to be put together for that. So I'm apologetic to, my wife says I don't embarrass easily, but I am apologetic to the folks that I told that to be here on the 20th and had to call and say, no, just wait another month. So hopefully that'll come together then, and we'll be able to bring that plan here and stand up and talk about that. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Yeah, I will put another plug in for the ward meetings. I mean, I've really enjoyed them, and I appreciate all the staff who go. This is after work hours, and they go to attend these meetings, and it just shows that they are committed to serving our community and to doing the best that they can, hearing the concerns, and for me, it's an opportunity to meet people. It's not just about, we're sharing information, we're hearing people's questions, and it's also an opportunity to just meet people. And I think that's important, that we get to know each other, that we hear each other, listen to each other. It goes a long ways, and I hope that the community takes advantage of those meetings, because we're going to continue them next year and after on a quarterly basis, and so it's a good opportunity. Reaching higher recognition, congratulations to the fire department on their achieving the 2015 Life Safety Achievement Award. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that, Chief? I know you're proud of it.
Yes, I'm very proud of it. That's something we work hard with our fire prevention program, to educate kids and other adults in the community on fire safety and doing code enforcement. We were nationally recognized by Grinnell Mutual to be a Life Safety recipient award winner with no fire deaths, and due to our fire prevention program. So, yeah, we're real proud of that. Thank you, Mayor.
Absolutely. Congratulations. And if there's nothing, I'm sorry, one more?
I'd be remiss if I didn't do an introduction. For those of you that haven't met him yet, Mike Simprich, I think this is his first council meeting as an official capacity. Mike is our municipal arborist, so he's the one that's been going out and taking care of all the trees, and he's filling in for Mike Carolyn while he's on vacation.
Welcome. Okay. Anything else? Thank you. Meeting's adjourned.
9:30 in the morning.